Hi, I'm so glad to be back. We're on our third session this time at the Make It Myself, the Independent Artist Forum. I had two lovely sessions. The first session was with regards to musicians and the music schools. And in the second session, we actually kind of blanked out what it was about. So you can always go to my YouTube channel and figure it out. But I am so happy that this time we're talking about something which actually is extremely relevant to every talent, not just singers, every form of talent. And that's something that I've always been extremely scared of or, unaware of. And what is that? That's legal. So I thought, let's talk legal and let's bring in two extremely dynamic women who have been doing it for a while, who have a lot of information about the legal space and can hopefully simplify it for me, for you guys, and everybody out there. So let's welcome Cynthia John. Hi, Cynthia. How are
Hey,
you?
I'm good. I'm good. How's it going?
I'm very good. So, Cynthia is a lawyer and she's an intellectual property business strategist, and she works at TINNUTS. And I also have another dynamic lady with us, Shuchi Roy. Hi,
Hi,
Shuchi. How are you?
absolutely fine.
Shuchi too. Very good. Thank you so much. Shuchi too is a lawyer, and she says she's not a practicing lawyer right now, but I think it's always, I think once you're a lawyer, once you know the law, you're a lawyer. Let's put it that way. She's also director of an NGO called the Anahad Foundation that basically supports and promotes folk talent, which I think is one of the most, it's something which is the need of the hour. And welcome, Cynthia and Shuchi. Thank you so much for coming on board. I know it's a Friday
Thank
night.
you.
You'd, yeah, you'd
Thank
rather
you
be
so much
like
for having
chilling
us.
out and
I think this is more chilling out for a change. I think it's a great idea to be on such a platform.
lovely,
Yeah.
lovely. Thank you so much. I mean, as I said, I'm actually doing this myself. I haven't even brought in the brand that I work for to associate with this. Just felt like doing it as a personal initiative, and I feel blessed with the kind of people that have been coming on board. And you girls are making it all woman power, yeah.
Uh, Thank you, Samani. Thank you for having us. I think more than anything, I'm at this moment feeling extremely humble that I'm, surrounded and I'm invited to speak at this little platform because I don't know. I think it's going to be a lot more inspiring for people my age to come out and start talking about like real and important matters that surround our little music industry. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much.
So I want to start with asking both of you one by one to just speak a little about your background. What is it that you've been doing? What made you go into law? I think just to give a sense, of course, while this is more from a talent point of view, I think if there are people out here who are watching and decide, oh, maybe law is an option for me. So Cynthia, let's start with you.
Oh, okay. My mom is possibly watching this, so this is going to be really funny. But that said, so I was a hardcore science kid. I did like my major was like psychology and my like minor subject was like bio. I thought I was going to be a doctor. Well, my mom and dad also were very keen on me being a doctor. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I decided to take like a 360 on my life. I did it. I studied. I did science till grade 12, but I have truly like all my life I've been into music and dancing and I'm a thespian and I love orating. I've been in all kinds of debates and stuff. So I told my parents I wanted to do media, but you know how there's this really sad notion that being in the media industry or you basically studying anything with mass comm isn't a very sustainable living option. So
Yeah.
that was and I don't have really I don't have any money to like pay for my education. So I had to like
Yeah.
succumb to a lot of things, and then I
Right.
finally decided I'm going to do law because I found law as one subject or like one field that didn't confine you to anything. So
Right.
I mean, I did. go into law hoping that, like, eventually I will become like a news reporter or like a
Okay.
politician or something like that. But yeah, I really thought I was going to be a Krantikari. Like, one of my friends actually called me like a Krantikari. So I thought I was going to do all of that. But then I saw IPR as a course in law school, and that changed my entire perspective to what I wanted to become. Also, that
Okay.
and the show Entourage, uh, phenomenal show. They have like a lawyer who's an agent, which is pretty much what
Mm,
I do. So I was like, yeah, this is it. That's what I want to become. Let's find a way to make
lovely.
money now. But yeah, that's that.
So, Shuchi, what's your background? I mean, uh, give us a little
So,
insight on that.
okay. So I think I have studied almost all the subjects which were like possible for me. Till 10th, I had science, and then I studied commerce and maths, and then I did my graduation in history and psychology, and also had political science as a subject. And after graduation, I wanted to prepare for UPSC because I I mean this was something that I always had thought, to do something, and which should, like, I always wanted to give my services to the society. It should go back to the society, help in some
Right.
or the other way. So
Nice.
I thought of doing UPSC, but then very
Okay.
soon I realized it's not my cup of tea. So
Yeah.
then I, came to, then I actually realized, I should do law because,
Okay.
I'll attain all the knowledge and I would be able to help people. So that was my thinking behind, going into the field of law. Completed my graduation in law and straight away started working in Supreme Court. And
Wow.
I think
Okay.
that was a place where I realized that I'm not helping anyone. So yeah, yeah. I really, it was a very short span of time, but then I'm happy that I realized it at the right point of time, and I have always been associated with Anahad and Abhinav because he has started Anahad back in 2013 when we were still doing our graduation.
Right.
So Anahad was always there in my life. I was always associated and I was always working indirectly.
Right.
But then in 2016, I decided, I'll be joining it full time. And
Okay.
I just remember leaving my office just like that.
Wow.
And
It's so
I
funny. Where my grandfather was a lawyer in Bangalore. And, he obviously, fought all the cases. He also was a freedom fighter, back when we were still, fighting for independence. And as I was growing up, I used to be so argumentative that my parents used to always think that, oh, maybe she's going to become a lawyer, but that didn't happen. But, I mean, we're here to talk about uh, the artists, the artist fraternity, and how law and legal is always something that doesn't go down as either something that is easily understood or something that they really want to get into, especially when it comes to, in fact, you don't even see this only with the newcomers. You even see the most established artists seeming a little clueless of what is legal all about when it comes to talent and it comes to their creativity. I was really hoping that this session today simplifies it for them. So I'm going to actually, request both of you to turn by turn kind of, maybe start with the basic. What is the ABC of legal when it comes to talent? So
Cynthia, do
it's
you
like
want
when
to
you,
go?
yeah, okay,
You want to start? Like, what? Cause you hold, like, you're representing folk artists that come from, you know, uh, times that I can't even imagine, and music
correct,
that are from the golden era, and a lot of them are now in the public domain. So
right,
maybe we can start with you, and then we can come back to me, and I can tell you how it works with the indie scene and etc. etc.
yes, yes, yeah,
okay. So after working for like 4 years with folk artists around me, and one thing that I have realized is that it's, of course, it's very important for you to understand the nuance of legal aspects and how things actually work. but it is very unfair to expect that they should understand, because to be honest, most of the lawyers who are actually dealing with this, in their day-to-day lives, they are also not very clear about it in their own heads. So how can we expect these folk artists who are, I mean, who are basically, you can say, they are illiterates. They are dropped out from schools and they never pursue education, right? So you cannot expect them that they should be knowing about this, or you can teach them, or it is something that you can make them aware and things are going to just change like that. It is
But tell me
not going
something,
to happen.
Shuchi.
Yeah.
When you look at folk artists, and if you say that today, you want to give them, some areas that they should be aware of. What generally is something that you propose to them? So, I mean, do you actually tell them to sign an agreement if they don't? I mean, if they're illiterate, they possibly can't even sign. So, how do you handle legalities for artists like that?
Yeah, so I mean, as we do the entire documentation, and then when we go back and we give them their CDs, their websites, the pen drives, the business cards back to them, we give them a very basic, managerial and a legal training. So basically, when I say legal training, it isn't something very, deep learning of sort of knowledge, right? Teaching them the copyright laws and everything. The basic thing that I always tell them is that whenever you are going for a show, or whenever someone is approaching you for a show, you don't have a manager, that is absolutely fine. You just need to keep things in written with you. Like, I'll tell you what happens. When artists are being approached for shows, for wedding shows, etc., and they are being quoted that, I'm going to give you 60,000 rupees, and things like that. So they just listen to the amount and they get excited. They go, they perform, and when the time comes that they should receive the entire amount, they get maybe half of it or something like that. Things happen like that. So I always ask them, take something in written, take, just, how to use WhatsApp. They are very smart at using the audios and all. So I always tell them to just keep something in written, something as a proof which you can use further. Just
Yeah,
let them make you a fool. I mean, don't behave like that. Behave like a professional. And this is how
right.
you can behave like a professional. You don't need a manager. You yourself can take things in your hand, and you can, that's the thing, we are trying to empower the folk musicians. So that's
Right.
a very basic thing I just tell all of them,
Tell
because
me another thing, Shuchi, and sorry, Cynthia, I'm just kind of still asking a lot of questions to Shuchi, but it's very interesting how folk talent, especially with formats like Coke Studio and all of them, that started actually introducing a lot of folk talent because creatively it was unique. And uh, how much of paperwork was done for? If I don't know if you're familiar with it, but do you know if there was any kind of paperwork done for them? Was there a representation? Do they get any kind of commercial benefits even after the shoot and the show? I mean, any idea on that front?
yeah, so I know a few artists who have been to Coke Studio, been a part of it, and have created beautiful composition, have been a part of these beautiful compositions.
Right,
And they do get credits in the, when you go to YouTube and check out there. And basically, most of them, they have been given work for hire contracts they have with these particular platforms. I'm not very much aware of the agreements that they have with these people, but I know for a fact that they have been given one-time money, and that's all. And what matters to them is that they were coming on the television, right?
yeah,
They say that they have performed with A.R. Rahman or Clinton, Sergio, etc., etc. And you
right,
won't believe, on their cards, the business cards that we have made for them, they asked us, ki, madam, please write Coke Studio artist.
right,
So
right,
they know that it is going, I mean, it has a huge impact, but what are they actually deriving from it is something difficult to define. right?
But
Because
Cynthia, tell me this, Cynthia. When you look at folk artists like this, I mean, the whole case, and I wouldn't claim to know it all, but I think when you look at the copyright law, which was fought and won in 2012, it was about artists being able to make revenue out of, you know, content commercialization beyond what they were actually commissioned to do, right?
Yes.
So, isn't that applicable even for something like this?
Honestly, it is. But the problem is that people, I think artists don't know to ask for their rights. And it's a really sad affair. And I'm glad that we're in a space now that we can talk about this and artists can always go back and listen to it. But think about it. Coke Studio is a platform. Okay. It's like, let's say, let's call them a label for, like, for lack of a better word, let's call them a label. Even if they're doing that, yes, in a general sense, if they are recording for you, they do want to own the master of the track, which is fine.
Right.
But then as artists, you can ask for streaming, for your royalties, for distribution. You can ask these things. There is no harm in asking. But what happens is that this entertainment industry is such a glamorous world, or it's claimed to be such a glamorous world, that artists look for the bare minimum exposure to just showcase their talent so that this will help them sort of grow. The reality is that you can't just hope for that, because once your content, or you're an artist which is like a free artist, you're constantly going to keep, like, they're going to keep calling you for that. In fact, like, I was thinking of that today, that I keep calling it the friends and family discount, which is what everyone in this industry does. And I hate it because when I managed artists, the most difficult thing for me was, um, I call it passion exploitation, for a lack of a better word. It's the fact that they think that if you are doing something out of passion, out of creativity, it's okay to keep, money secondary. And pardon my French, but that's bullshit. That it doesn't work that way. You
No,
can't,
but Cynthia,
can't
I have to ask you this question. When you look at, even in a scenario of hiring an employee as an intern, right? You
yeah,
don't pay the person a salary which you would pay for somebody who is at a higher position or has more experience. So, you know, when you hire an intern, you of course make him do as much as you can because you put it under the guise of your learning.
yeah,
But in reality, you don't land up paying that much. Can't that be the
yeah.
same equation for a new talent?
So, I mean, I do think it's also really bad practice where, like, internships are like free labor. You're exploiting young kids for free labor. I do not agree with it. I'm going to get like smacked a lot for this, but you know what? I was an intern just few years ago, and I think I would constantly keep asking at some point, like 2 weeks into my job, I'll be like, stipend, stipend, something. But I would ask because I believe that if my work was good, why would you not pay me for it? You are using my decks, you are using my presentations, you are using the contracts that I made for your clients, right? You are making money out of it. Why will you not pay me for it then? I'm not asking you to pay me a salary like you would pay an associate, but you can pay me 5,000 rupees. It feels good to get that 5,000
No,
rupees.
I completely agree with you. I mean, the logic of getting an intern does not mean it has to be for free. I completely agree with you. There has to be some compensation, but that figure of compensation, I think, when you look at the artist, you know, and I mean, you kind of compare it with with the talent space, where there's so many aspects, right? When you are talented, it's about also understanding the space, understanding how you need to present yourself. You know, all of that comes with experience. And when you start charging crazy amounts, it's because you have the experience and the brand value, you know,
No,
to
I
be
mean,
able to claim that.
I'm with you on that. I do think it takes, even as, like, as someone in the industry, I think I always say that every time someone asks me for too much and a lot more than what I want to like give them, I'm just like, I'm really young. I got a long way to go. I have a lot more to learn. But here's the thing: you can't stop yourself just because of the lack of experience, because you might just have the knowledge for it. Because a lot of the times, and I think I say this when, like, initially when I was, like, hunting for jobs and things like that, when I was like fresh out of college, and so every time a label would tell me, to my face that you have no experience of it, but I interned for 5 years. Apparently, that's not counted as, that's not counted as experience. And I'm just like, so what did I do for 5 years then? Why did I waste my summers and winters, right? So I tell them, no,
Yeah.
I put my foot down in these interviews and I tell them that no, these are experiences. I did learn. I did explore several options to learn what is best for me. Similarly, when I look at artists, when you finally create a moniker or an artist name or a brand value for yourself, you're already in a position where you've already understood that this could possibly be my audience. These are the streaming avenues that could work for me. I may need representation because at some point I need to focus just on my music, and that's where I need a manager. So these are things I don't think any artist just wakes up one day and goes like, "Oh, I want to be a star." I think they
Right.
dream and they aspire and they work hard and they put covers and they have YouTube channels. I think I would never take it away from talents by saying that they wake up one day and they feel like they deserve this. No, I think all of them spend a great deal of their time hoping and wanting to become like their aspirations and their inspirations at the end of the day. So,
Right. So
no, for folk
I have
artists,
a question. Right. So
no,
I have
go
a
for it, go for
question
it.
here. Yeah, I have a question here. So if you are an artist who is, starting out and you want to really make sure that you've got yourself covered, in all areas of the business, how would you advise an artist, right? Today, I mean, we know, like you said, there's distribution, there is endorsements, there are shows, there is merchandising. These are some of the areas that one can think of. Uh, what would you advise an artist? And I think between the two of you, especially Shuchi, with the folk talent, there's a very different, what do you say, fire booming, in especially at a regional level. And when you talk about yourself, Cynthia, having managed independent artists, you've had a lot of experience in that. So, I mean, would like to get inputs from both of you. When you meet, for example, Shuchi, when you meet a folk artist, what all do you advise them to be involved into?
So like whenever I meet folk artists and they end up asking me like what they should do. So I always tell them that uh, you know like like you, me, or Cynthia, we build a resume, right? So we have some certificates, we have degrees, etc. So like that, it's very essential for an artist to have a portfolio. Like even if they want
Right.
to go out and they want to pitch themselves, if they have that much of confidence, they need a portfolio, which is very important. So that
Right.
is why we encourage them that write, do songwriting if you want, create new tracks, create new songs, and record them. And it is very easy to put up to actually record things and create that content. So
Right.
create a portfolio. So that is where I believe Anhad also comes and actually helps the folk artists basically act as a catalyst. We what are we doing? We are creating a digital portfolio for the artists. We are creating a website. We are putting information about them. We are creating 2 music videos and at such high quality, and we are recording 4 audio tracks for them, and we have a plan to distribute them also. So Anhad is creating a portfolio for them, right? And which makes it easier for them to go out and use their skill of talking and connecting with people and get the show. See, I can create a portfolio for you, I cannot get the shows for you. That is something which you have to do, right? We, and especially the folk artists, I'll tell you, they have a little tendency of depending upon one person or the organization
No,
that
that's not just folk artists. That's not just folk artists.
Okay. I know about
On
the
that.
folk artist.
No, but
So yeah,
Shuchi, tell
so
me,
yeah.
do you land up doing legal agreements between your foundation and the folk artist, or is it
Oh
only
yes.
for the folk artist that you do an agreement?
It's between Anahad and the folk artist. I have
Okay.
I have all the agreements with the signatures of each and every artist along with their phone numbers there, copy of their Aadhaar card and everything. So we
So
do
they
this
sign,
agreement. Yeah.
right, they sign up with you, and then once they've signed up with you, you then represent them for various other opportunities that you can bring to them. right?
More than, I mean, we don't sign up with them for the opportunities to be very
Okay,
specific. It is the agreement is basically, it's an agreement between us, which states that we are going to record these four tracks for you, and out
right,
of these four, you're going to get two music videos and a website. And
right,
if at all, we do the distribution of it, you're going to get the royalties for the same. And Anand is not going to keep I mean, Anand is not going to hide anything for you, and you are giving Anand the rights to basically do these things with these
right,
particular tracks. Yeah, so
right,
this is the agreement that we have with artists, and we have it written in Hindi. Like
right.
all
Wow.
the agreements are in Hindi, so that they can read and they can. I mean, they should not feel that they just signed something and nothing happened and
Right,
things like that.
right,
I literally
right,
sit with each and every group and I read all the terms and conditions and I tell them that this is what it is written. You can call anyone whom you trust and you can read the agreements. So that gives them a sense of trust also, that that they know
yeah,
what they are doing. So basically, trying to
right,
make them understand that how important an agreement is and how important it is for you to understand what an
right.
agreement is.
But that's
So yeah.
amazing, because while the artist is doing the agreement with you, you are looking out for them and making sure that they feel assured and taken care of. Cynthia, when you talk about independent artists, today especially, you look at bands, you look at different kinds of singer songwriters coming into the market. We've seen some of the singer songwriters really grow from basic written work to becoming really big performers, and now growing their brand equity. uh,
Yeah.
what do you advise them when it comes to starting a career as somebody who managed an independent artist? How did you build them?
Okay, so I managed two very young, fresh sounds in in India. I would in India, I would say India. That's a safer term to use. Now, both the boys were they had different genres, and at the same time, they were very different people. So for me, as a manager, I had to look at them as two different individuals, two different music that I was tackling. Now, as a manager, for me, I had several rules, but as an artist that is just starting out, first, don't go looking for a manager. Okay, so there are basic things that you can just take a minute and just compose yourself and figure out. So the first thing is have a good housekeeping. That basically means have your assets in order. Make a small press kit. It takes maybe like 20 minutes of your time, but a press kit will essentially just say, this is who I am, these are the tracks I've made. You can click on this link, and you can see me on Spotify, on Apple, on SoundCloud, on Bandcamp. I also do this. I'm also a producer. The press kit should have these things. At the same time, it should also have things like, you know, this is if you don't have too much of a, let's say you have like only 10,000 views on YouTube. It's okay. At least when you go up to someone and say, "Hey, represent me," I know what I'm signing up for.
Right,
I think so. Yeah, I think the housekeeping bit is really important, and it starts with a press kit, which just has everything. It will be nice if you also provide sometimes to people that you go like what you would like on your rider. I
right.
think that is it is a nice way to go, because even if someone's not directly managing you, if you just go up and tell someone that, hey, you're a promoter, I'm a new artist, I would like to perform at your venue. If you show them that rider and it's like, these are the 5 things I need, or these are the 10 things I need, they know that you're in it to win it. They know you're.
So tell me something, Cynthia. When an artist is commissioned or booked for a gig, we know when it comes to the bigger names, we go through big agreements and there are clauses which are very specifically put down. How should it work for a new artist? I mean, I know we always get caught with this. The artist wants to break in, he wants to create a name for himself, he needs to make money, so he doesn't want to complicate it. Why
Sure.
is legal, why is paperwork considered to be a threat more than just professional approach?
I mean, I think it's the human psyche of the fear of the unknown. I think when an artist sort of picks up like a contract immediately, like, I don't know, in my head, I think it's like Simon and Garfunkel's like playing in the background, telling them that, hello, darkness, my old friend. I truly believe that that's what they feel. They're like staring into the abyss holding this piece of paper. But no, but all jokes aside, I do believe that here's the thing, the reason people fear legal work or contracts is because it is extremely daunting. And more than that, it is so taxing to read these contracts. So, I mean, here's the thing, and I wouldn't say this as just like because you're an artist, you can't read. Even as a lawyer, sometimes I don't want to read these contracts because they are 20
Right.
pages long and sometimes they have like
Right.
font 11. Like, why will I want to like strain my eyes on font 11? So, yeah, these are like serious issues as to why people don't read like contracts. So, keep your sentences simple. You can explain the same thing. You don't need to copy paste what is there on a copyright act. You can explain that on a contract because then they will know that these are my rights. So, I mean, here's the thing. I think it's been a long time since a lot of things in our lives are evolving. And I think contracts also have been evolving, and the style of contracts has been evolving in time. And something that I think what I can do here is give like everyone like the basic requirements. This is what you should look out for in a contract, which could be helpful for people who come back and view this again.
So
Is
does TINNUTS as a company, do you sign up individual talent, or what exactly does your company represent right now?
Okay, so we have a lot of clients that come to us, and it's a variations. It's not just involved with music. You could be authors, you could be folk artists, you could even
Right.
be just a creator, like an innovator. You could be a yoga artist for all we care. For us, it's like, are you a creator? Are you starting something new? Do you want to create? We are
Right.
here to protect your work. So I keep telling Raf like we are a creative council at the end of we're a creative council for creative people at the end of the day. We help you to figure out your business plan. Once you tell us that okay, protect my legal work, then you can always come back and figure out how do you now that my rights are protected, I can now tweak my business plan. I can create my business plan in such a way that when my lawyers are looking at it, they also know that, okay, these are my releases happening here. This needs to go out here. This is my distribution plan. This needs to go out here. So we sort of just manage a lot of clients. It's not, like I said, it's not stuck to one aspect of the industry. It's open to every industry. And it's great. I love it. And I think, like I said, this, like, if I had to explain contracts to someone, I would always say, and this is what we tell our clients also, like, just forget the legalese or the jargon bit in contracts. Rather, look at it as if you don't know what the contract states, ask the person who drafted that contract to give you like a section of definitions. Just ask them so that when you see intellectual property somewhere on your contract, you know that intellectual property essentially then means that it's under the laws of India, arising out of anything that could be your trademark, your copyright, your title, your trade secrets, some invention that you created. That will be stated as in your definition. That way, every time you read your contract, you know, oh, my intellectual property, be it whatever, will be protected in this contract. Similarly, I don't know, state your, state the grants of rights, who owns what in the agreement. It is good to state that out. It is also very good to have like your scope of work stated because it helps people know that, oh, I'm entering into an agreement and my role is this and your role is this and I will be getting paid this much or we will be paying you this much. It is a good way. It's like I said, it's good. It's safekeeping at the end of the day, right? Contracts should not be something where people think it's like a hard and fast rule. It's only this way. No, it's a mutual consideration at the end of the day. So yeah,
I'd like to give you an example. When I joined Hangama and I was setting up Artist Aloud, we actually, the first agreement that we were, putting together was such a long agreement. Like you said, it was almost 20 pages. And I actually went back to my legal head and I said, dude, I am not going to read this. I don't think the artist is going to go beyond the first page. And he was extremely helpful and he narrowed it down to 3 pages with the key discussion points. Of course, in our case, in our business, we only look at our agreements as for distribution. It's a licensing agreement. But tell me something. I mean, if you look at the scenario of every conference that you go to, for the last, even when Nokia Music Connects used to happen, even in those days, there was one topic that used to be spoken about. And even now, people seem to have to be constantly explain what is copyright,
Mm.
So, is there a simpler and a one-time definition of it that can help people understand what is copyright and what does copyright infringement really mean?
Sure. I mean, okay, I'm gonna give you the explanation and then the definition because I think it's always
Yeah,
easier to relate than to just
Yeah.
dive into it. So look at
right,
copyright like an investment. Okay, your music is a property or a product that you can sort of like that can be exploited because there is this wonderful creation that you're making, and in order to prevent it and to create several different means of revenue, copyright is in place. So look at it like a safety jacket, but for your product or for your property at the end of the day. And so in that understanding, copyright is essentially for the right that is for like creators at the end of the day. And your creators could be people of literary work, dramatic work, artistic work, cinematography, and sound recording. And all of these works, a prerequisite for copyright is that it should be original, and it doesn't have to be a published or an unpublished work, as long as it is a creation or an innovation that you have of your own.
so
That's
hold that thought, Cynthia. Hold that thought. So, Shuchi, I'd like to ask you, if
Yeah.
copyright is about original work, how does it work for folk talent? Because everything, when people talk about folk content, is supposed to be in the public domain, which means anybody can pick it up and anybody can do anything. So are we saying folk content cannot be copyrighted?
It's a very debatable topic, but I believe yeah, it is. But I mean, I would say it's like something. Why is something in public domain? Because no one can claim it, right? No one can say that this person actually did. So it's
Right.
better to be in the public domain and let everyone use it, right? Instead of fighting for it and one person getting the benefit and the community which says that it's ours, they get nothing out of it.
But tell me something,
So
Shuchi. When you look at a song, right, you have melody, you have lyrics, and you have arrangements. Now,
yeah,
arrangements is something which can be unique and original between artists. Is there a opportunity to actually copyright the arrangement of a public domain content?
I believe
Can you
they. I mean,
claim ownership in that sense?
I think you. I mean, you should not, but I believe people are doing it. I mean,
So
I
you're
feel that it should not.
okay. So, I mean, when you talk about rights, right, you talk about tangible rights, you talk about intangible rights. When you talk about intangible, you say composition and lyrics are supposed to be intangible. When it goes into a sound recording, it's supposed to be a tangible right. So, doesn't that fall in that same? So, for example, I have, say, an artist like Mame Khan, right? He comes with the Rajasthani folk, embedded into his music. Kesariya Balam has been sung by multiple people. He may do it in a style and in an arrangement which is different. Can he claim rights on that? Or he just has to be just another person who's exploiting the.
No, on the arrangements, I believe he can, but on the other part, I mean, on the other portion of it, he cannot because again, it will again become a public domain aspect, right? So, I mean, if the arrangement is like really unique, or I don't know like how actually it is being verified, but it should be unique, right? I mean,
Right,
like Kesariya Balam, Padharma, this etc. They have been. I mean, who is the actual owner of the track? I
right.
mean, that's the reason it is in public domain, right? So you can use it, but of course, bring your style, make your version of it. So I believe
What's
know,
if
your
you are,
take on this, Cynthia?
yeah.
actually, I was gonna ask Ruchi this because I was thinking of the fact that that Genda Fool song, right, that just came out is
Yeah,
like it
yeah,
was copied by like a folk artist, if I'm not wrong, a Bengali folk artist. So I'm just
Yes,
like the
yes.
fact that you said that like it should all be in public domain. I'm like, don't like you see that in that case it was very clear that like I mean while Bacha had paid the artist X amount of money, he obviously invested like tons of money more than what that artist should. I mean, and in the ideal world, the artist should have got his name written on, the inlay of the
yeah.
whole of Savan, Spotify, every all the other apps that need to be there. But more than that, he should have. You should have paid the lyricist or the main composer, the original composer, some kind of um, royalty or given them a fee for like a tariff fee for like I don't know streaming something. You could have. I think that team could have done a lot better than rather just paying a one sum like amount saying that, oh, I like your song, thank you very much, it's a public domain music, but yeah, I'm going to still make this
No,
500.
in
Like
fact,
work
in
now.
that point, that in that case, the example that you're giving, it wasn't just taking the original melody and redoing it. It was, if I'm not mistaken, it was the artist's voice that was taken and then used in the song. So that is actually not even a rendition. You're just, you're picking
Even
an
You're just
original and
I'm
copy
just saying,
pasting the
if
things.
if
yeah,
this folk artist was, I don't know, signed to a label, you will have to go and ask for a license. Like, I'm sorry,
absolutely.
like I don't care whether your music is in the public domain or not. If like what any label is gonna say is my artist wrote this, he composed the song. The whole idea is that this is my artist track, so why will I give it to you for free? Cool, you want to use it in your movie? Here's a sync license for you. Take it, and when
Right,
you put it out on all
right.
platforms, make sure that I get like distribution for it. It's as simple as that. But like I said, I mean someone who also I did work in a label like before actually like moving into the manager space in my life. Something that I learned at labels was the fact that even when it comes to devotional songs,
I think it started
Hey,
raining.
Cynthia, we seem to have lost you. Has it started raining there?
Yeah, I feel it has started raining.
Okay, I hope she can come back. Shuchi, there
Yeah.
is a question from a person called Apurva Agarwal. He says, how does unregistered copyrighted work work? So he's asking how
Unregistered
the
copyrighted work.
yeah. So I think he's basically talking about, when people compose or write anything, how does it work if they don't register it? Is that something that impacts them, or is there a way that they can claim ownership on it? Uh, I presume
See,
that's the question.
yeah, so I see, like in today's time when everything is digital basically, right? So I mean, when you write something, it automatically you get the copyright, but then there is a procedure to get the copyright done, and there's a law and everything. So there's a
Right.
reason for that, right? So even if you have done the work, you have done the things, and somebody else, picks it up, and you're not able to prove, then how is it going to help you out? So I believe even if it's unregistered, I mean, you should get things registered rather than just trying to work it out that way. So
Yeah, another thing that
that's
I
what
have
happened
heard.
with this. Yeah.
Sorry, another thing that I've heard, and Apurva, I hope that helps you, is where the moment you create anything, if you put it in notation form, or you even record it on on as an audio, it is considered to be work that you can own. So you need to be able to claim any ownership on something. You have to have some kind of a physical form of it, which, like Shuchi said, could be, you put it up on YouTube, or you just record it and keep it with you. There has to be a physical proof for you to say this is my work. That's some gyan that I have, but would love to hear from you guys.
Absolutely
Yeah,
right. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, unless and until you, I mean, so there's a procedure which is meant to be followed. I mean, however crazy it is, but there's no other way out. You cannot just keep on saying in the court. I mean, the court doesn't listen. The court will not listen to you, right? They will ask you, show me the evidence, and you're going to
correct.
spend all your life just saying that, I made this, I made this, I made this. That's it. I mean, if you have done this, just put it on your mail or do something. That's something. I mean, how much time does it take, in putting it up on your mail, or maybe, putting it on your
It's
YouTube
it's
channel or
called
anything like that?
yeah, it's called the poor man's copyright. A poor man's copyright is essentially you take your music and then you mail it to yourself, or you write your lyrics and mail it to yourself. It's the easiest and the simplest way. And I mean, at least in the legal diaspora, this is something I actually enjoyed saying over the last, like, this entire pandemic. Everyone be like, oh, I don't know how to, like, do my copyright, bro. And I'm like, dude, calm down. Just mail it to
Put
yourself
it,
or mail. Like, it's all good. As long as it's
yeah,
there on your laptop, it's already, there is a copyright
yeah,
on it. But I think everyone, like, they run for the registration without really knowing or understanding what copyright is to begin with. So, then you have to, like, break it down. And then I always start explaining artists or my clients by saying, hey, three parts to a song. Just remember, underlying works, then there's your sound recording, and then there's your performance. If you have all of this in place, you have a song, you have all your rights. And then, there are a million other questions. I think I spend almost 90% of my day just explaining copyrights to everyone in the simplest and the easiest manner possible, because I get it, man. Like, I think the one good thing that arose out of this pandemic is the fact that now people want to educate themselves. Nobody
yeah,
wants to
Yeah,
be,
yeah,
yeah, like, nobody wants to be complacent. They've realized that the only way to work out the kinks in this industry is to, one, educate yourselves, then reevaluate your situation, and then iron out these kinks. Like, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is we don't have live, I mean, we have live gigs, but we don't have on ground gigs, at least till 2021. So the
yeah,
only way this is going to work is, suddenly now people call us up and they want to know, oh, how does streaming work? What are my
yeah.
rights to streaming? What is royalties?
So,
Is there
Cynthia,
something called
I
as
have
a,
to
yeah,
ask you, there was this whole hullabaloo that happened with the IPRS putting out some kind of tariffs and stuff like that. Do we
yeah.
have any clarity on where it stays now? Has there been any tariff that's been figured out? I mean, I know from my understanding, and I'm going to try and put this out, and hopefully you can correct me or, say yes, how many you've got it. Uh, IPRS is applicable only for people who are members, right? So unless you are a member of IPRS, that's one for you to be able to claim revenues. The second is if you are an artist doing works that belongs to members of IPRS, only then IPRS is liable to charge you for it. Am I correct?
Yeah,
Right? So the
yeah.
question here is, should singer songwriters,
Register.
become members of IPRS? And if not, is there any other body that can be of help? Or is there a way that they can claim monies directly from platforms for publishing of their content?
Okay, so here's the thing. The ones who are not registered anywhere, you're anyway self-publishers, okay? You own everything, you have the rights to everything. No society has any of your work to go and collect it for you. You want to go
Right.
get anything, you have to go do it by yourself. And now here's the problem. Most artists don't know how to approach a Spotify or an Apple or a CD Baby and tell them, hey, I played music on your platform from month A to month Z. So could you now tell me what is my revenue or my royalty at the end of this month? No one's gonna answer that to you. Also, because, like, no one's got the time to do it because you're not registered anywhere. So my general advice is, don't want to sign up to IPRs and you want to do it on a PRS UK, go for it. Go register yourself somewhere, because it is, these collecting bodies are in place to, to sort of, like, get hold of all your revenues and put it in
So,
place.
so what you're saying, Cynthia, is basically you have to be with a collection body to be able to claim any publishing revenue. Otherwise, you can't get it. Is that's what you're saying?
I mean, I'm saying more in the lines of royalties at the end of the day, right? When you here's the thing. Now, when you, like, what is IPR saying at the end of the day? The reason they're saying that, hey, we're asking promoters to pay 20K for, I mean, I'm
Mm,
obviously now putting a ballpark number. So I'm going to explain this
yeah.
to you as if you were playing a show, just to understand why this train of thought is happening. Let's say you're doing an on ground show, like a festival. Let's say N87, whatever. Now, N87, when will take like what, 10 artists, 50 artists out there across the world, they will invite them down to India, and then they pay these artists for there's a performance fee, right? But
Right.
while there's a
Right.
performance fee, these organizers generally pay an IPRs or a PPL, they will pay them X, like another 20K or 30K to them, saying that, hey, in a public space, so many music is being played. We don't know who has what rights or who owns what music, but we're telling you that, hey, make sure that these rights are taken care of. That if artist X is playing artist Y's music, you make sure that that artist Y gets that money for this artist X playing on stage. These are
Right.
ways of, the reason why a collecting body was like in place in the first place. Now that we
Right.
don't have like on ground shows, everyone's like, oh, but I'm playing on Instagram, dude. I'm like, yeah, but it's still live. You're still putting it out to a platform. It's just
Right.
the only way to, like, grow in an industry is to now, like, the next step is like digitization, right? So we're at that space where we're trying to understand how live live, whether it's recorded or going live, how does that work in 2020 or in 2021? So I mean, I don't think it's a bad mechanism. I think it's a good mechanism. IPRs does have its flaws, and so does every other collecting society across the world. But you got to cut them some slack and be diligent like members and question them every day. Like, I want my money. I want to know how, when it's coming. If this is because see, here's the thing: if anyone goes to the IPR site,
Yeah, but you can only do that if you are a member of IPRS. Otherwise, you can't go
Yeah.
and question IPRS, right? I mean,
no,
it's
but
as
and that's what
simple
I'm
as that.
saying. My general advice is register yourself. Like, go register. There's no harm of registering because you're not losing anything. Because right now you're not gaining
So,
anything. But you rather get
right.
60 rupees at the end of, like, I don't know, 3 months than have 0 rupees in your account. I mean, it's
So,
small victories.
right. No, but
I'm
Shuchi,
quoting
tell
every
me
artist
this.
now.
Shuchi, tell me this. I mean, how can folk artists? I mean, do they even have a chance of becoming members of IPRS? Or because again, it comes back to the fact that they're doing public domain content.
I really want to rant about this because you're talking about the folk artist. You're talking about the folk artist. I mean, I tried. I mean, Abhinav and his band members, they were trying to get registered under IPRS, and what did they ask us to do? They gave us a form, and they asked us to fill that form. And in the end, there was no. We needed a recommendation by two people from IPRS who are already IPRS members. And when we, opened the list of members from IPRS, it was all these biggies. And
Okay.
how could you get that? So that means you can never become an IPRS member, which actually happened. We are not an IPRS member. So
No, but
We
do
how
are
you
can
have
getting you
the
registered. I'll get you
do?
registered.
No, but do
you
you
better
have
do
the
that?
right? Do you have the right to become a member? In the sense, what are you claiming? Ownership on? Because
See,
you're not doing original stuff, right? As folk
yeah, so
artists.
that's the catch, that is what we do. We tell the folk artists, do songwriting, create your own tracks. And so they ask, why to create a new song when we are already doing the traditional stuff. And
Correct.
then,
Correct.
then Anahad comes in picture and they tell us that this is why, if you need you need another source of income which you are absolutely unaware of, then better start writing originals and start getting all these royalties and other sources of income. You will start post writing the new tracks. So now that's the
Okay.
reason
So
we
I
have
have
our project people sessions.
right. Sorry. I have
Yeah.
two questions here that have come. One is from Jasleen Olak, and she says, "Does uploading a song one has composed on YouTube make it registered?"
I mean, you have copyright over it if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Like, in a very technical sense, yes, you have copyright over it. There's no question over it. It's your song, your page.
Yeah.
You got it. It's yours. But
It just,
yeah,
I believe you have to post it before someone else posts it. That is also
yeah, if someone,
important.
I don't, yeah, if you kind of show me your song and you haven't put it up
Yeah.
anywhere, and tomorrow I claim that it's mine, that's a whole different debate. But no, just to make it really simple, I hate complicating things for people. just to make it very simple, if you put your track up on YouTube on your page, it's your music, and you haven't sampled, or like how Saumi was saying, you haven't infringed another person's like rights, you're good. It's your stuff. There isn't so-called anything like a copyright registration. Like, you don't need to go and find that and all that stuff. In the US, it's a different thing. In the US, they tell you to go get a copyright registration done, because it's sort of like their prima facie thing. They do it because then when you go to courts, they sort of use that to claim damages. In India, it's a very different system. So don't worry, you're good.
But it's a very valid point what Shuchi mentioned, that it's better that you do it before somebody else's. And if you had registered your work, then even if somebody else did it, you would have been able to claim and say, no, this is mine. So that's where the registration becomes necessary. Another question is by Apurv Agarwal again, where he says, does the organizer need to get an IPRS license if the artist isn't registered with IPRS or any PRS?
I think I think this is what they were discussing also that day, and everyone got confused because there isn't a proper tariff out yet.
So simplify it for us, Cynthia.
I can't believe I've become this person. I'm like, sasta wala lawyer now. But anywho, that said, here's what I'm gonna say, right? If you're an organizer and you are, barring if you have content that's out there, I think IPRS is going to the IPRS's main claim is your show ticketed or sponsored? Those are the first few questions that they will ask you, and that's what they contended on the first tariff sheet that they had. That they said that if you were doing a show which was sponsored or ticketed, then you had to pay X value for these many hours, irrespective of the artist. Now, I'm not very sure as to if they're going to rescind this and put out a new thing saying that no, only if your artist is an IPRS member, then you need to do this. I don't think
No,
that
they have said that.
Yeah,
They have
said
said that. Yes,
no, I know
absolutely.
I know that they've said that live streams by artists who are not IPRS members are like they don't have to pay the tariff, but I am unsure of the fact that if like basically if you're a promoter or an organizer or a sponsor doing a show, if I think that is a question mark, because I think, like I said, right, at the end of the day, they're trying to use that mechanism that you use on ground to sort of apply it on a live platform. So this would ideally just be a license amount that you would do at a festival, or when you own a restaurant and you have multiple gigs on a Friday and Saturday night. So I don't know if they've completely agreed to that. I don't know if it's stated anywhere.
But again, legally speaking, they should be only charging you if you have a song list of their members. Otherwise, there is no justification to say that you do a ticketed show, I need to be paid. It's a similar scenario where Novex was another collection body that was separately asking for for payment to get licenses, but when they stopped owning the rights for the labels that they claim to own, there was no need for a Novex license. So I think it needs to fall in that same category, but it's all up in the air.
It's all up in the air. I was going to say that like all collecting societies, and I know this because almost like in the last 3 years, I've met like so many of them that are just coming up and curating and creating, and they all have what I realized is someone needs to either you kill the foundation and start something absolutely fresh. It's like how I feel about labels. Just it needs to die, and it died long time ago when physical distribution like. No. I mean, no offense, like to labels out there. Like, I mean, I work for a label too, but I had this phenomenal debate about labels, which was more in the lines of that. To a great extent, like independent scene is trying to adapt this label concept for no reason. You don't need to hold that grudge. You can create something without that label persona in you, because honestly, it did die like when physical distribution was like down there. So now it's that I just feel like people use the term I am a label for that weight and that valuation that I am this amazing thing and I will offer you all these riches in the world. But most artists after like 1 year, they either they drop the contract and they say, I don't want to do this with you. You haven't given me the money that you said you're going to give me. I'm not as big as the other competitor that is there in the industry. So these problems happen more often than not. I see that a lot in artist management agencies that are also labels that also claim that they are something else, and I'm just like, guys,
But
just kill the
in all fairness, and it's surprising that I can say this because I built a platform which is not necessarily to kill the label business or
Hmm.
to kind of take artists away from the label industry, but it was more to support artists who didn't want to go that route. But I started my career with Universal Music, and those were the times where we released artists literally once in 3 months. I mean, there were those were the times where Universal would talk to Sony or a T Series or anybody and say, don't release an album now because I am releasing. There was a lot of
Yes,
camaraderie. There
well
was a
done. Yeah.
bonding. There was yeah. I mean, and there was enough of a shelf life given to that content. It's impossible to do that today. It's
Honest,
impossible. You cannot.
honestly, growing up, that's how, or like my perception on labels was exactly that, where I always thought that while there was a question about the modicum of creativity, there was still a scope for labels to sort of enhance this creativity at the end
Yeah,
of the day. They would, and,
yeah.
and that's what I truly believe. Like when I joined the industry, I was this really naive, flowery little girl just like running around with like labels and artist management agencies and lawyers around and going like, it works this way. And then they just like sat me down and went like, beta, aisa nahi hota. And I'm just like, oh, right. That's just,
नहीं
I mean,
ऐसे हो
my heart,
नहीं 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 ऐसे होता था अभी नहीं होता so
Agree.
yeah, I mean,
yeah
and which is why I think we should start. Like I said, I think in this pandemic there are interesting. Like in fact, 3 days ago, I was so happy to see independent producers. They are basically, a lot of them are session players, but more than that, they are producers of like amazing films, and they spoke about it. Like they said, forget that contract that I wrote. I don't care. I'm going to talk about what went down, and they put it up on their social media by saying, "Hey, if I'm a producer and I make the tracks, the background score for your film, okay, if you don't give me credits for it and you don't pay me for it and you don't give me royalties for it, like you're basically saying that this movie would have become a hit with or without this music." It's that
mm,
slap on their face. And these artists, these two producers, they actually spoke about it in detail. And I was actually just seeing the angst in the industry, in the independent industry. All of them just keep saying that, oh, now we know we have rights, but why didn't the labels tell us in the first place? Why were we not told about this? Is their question. I mean, I obviously have the counter argument that like, ignorance is not bliss. So like, just please do your
yeah
research. It takes 10 minutes. Google has everything out there. But
right
yeah, I mean, people are questioning, and I'm enjoying the fact that we're in a space now where every day it's a new challenge. It's this industry will I mean, while I think yesterday, I think at All About Music, Sabas said that the music industry is in ICU. It's not dead yet, or something like that. And I mean, while I laugh hearing that, I mean, I get it. I get what he's saying. He's like, we're in critical condition, but we will survive by like,
no I
and
think
we'll be out.
I mean to be honest times look tough, but at the same time I think every player is doing their bit. When I look at even what I started in 2010 with Artist Aloud, and 10 years later, there's actually now an ecosystem for the independent artist where the artist again can decide where they want to go. Somebody actually asked me, oh, you've got TuneCore now and you got CD Baby. I mean, how do you look at that? And I feel great. I mean, I think it's great that there are multiple players because, like what Anahad Foundation is doing, you've picked a niche, you've picked a particular category of talent, and you've gone all out. Whether it's Azadi Records, which has gone all out for the hip hop, and that's what India needed to be. You had Bollywood and non-Bollywood. Nobody understood genres in India.
Correct.
Now all of that is actually picking up and getting its visibility, which is super because then it's about everyone. And I think businesses grow when there's competition. Otherwise, you're just complacently thinking, oh, no one's gonna, toss me over.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, I don't know. I'm super anti-establishment human being. So like, for me, it's always like, I gotta find the younger guys, the smaller guys in the industry, and for me, it's like I know that their labels have fundings, right? Like bigger labels, I would say MNCs. I'm not talking about independent labels, but like most MNCs have fundings. You have the money. So I
Yeah.
mean, something I'd actually like to ask you, Samni, is the fact that let's say if I'm handling independent artists as a manager, how should I approach you with you know their work if I know that they've hit the space and they've plateaued now? As a manager, what I can offer is reaching out to another label that will actually provide them more opportunities. So what would your take be on that?
So, to be honest, if I were to wear the hat of someone who's running a business, I would have to create a balance between what is going to be, what will work for my business and what can I offer the artist, right? My proposition to every artist when I meet them is actually, it's with the philosophy of what I did with Make It Myself. That is, you've got to look at your investment beyond just your music. If you are an independent artist, you need to build your persona. I mean, it's as simple as how, a Bollywood actor will be seen everywhere when he wants to when his film's going to release, and that's how you need to do it. In some case, unfortunately, Bollywood has the ecosystem, so you're not necessarily spending money to create awareness about yourself. But for the independent scene, players like us, players like TuneCore, players like CD Baby, Okay Listen, all of these players are here with their tools and the mechanisms to help that independent artist to create that visibility for themselves. That's the business cap that I'm wearing. If I'm wearing the cap of somebody who's in the industry and would want to advise artists, you've got to be at it constantly. You got to keep creating content. Look at ways of how you can keep yourself relevant. One song's not going to make you an artist for life, right?
I
It's
I
it's as
actually
simple as that.
I'm actually with you. I mean, I actually had this internal debate in my head because Spotify, the CEO of Spotify, I think he put out this comment out there going like, quantity over quality. That's what he said. He said, it doesn't matter what kind of an artist you are. I don't care whether you have a hit or not. Okay, it's quantity over quality because you need to give me 10 songs. Okay, I understand. Again, that's a very label way of thinking it. That's exactly how like
Uh,
I
I won't necessarily agree that quantity over quality. I would say quality needs to have quantity attached to it, and I
no,
don't
I mean,
think it needs to be. Yeah, I
Agree.
mean, at the end of the day, Cynthia, it's not like, quality needs a lot of time. It's about you putting yourself, it's as simple as when you are an employee in a company. People, and I'm sorry to say this, I mean, you guys are millennials, and I shouldn't be saying this, but I do feel a lot of millennials tend to be averse to multitasking. They're like, we can't do so many things at the same time.
I
But
think that's all we
it's
do though. As my counter
Yeah,
argument, I
I
see,
also feel the same.
I, I, I know my if my boss is hearing this, he's gonna like give me a talk tomorrow. But he keeps telling, I keep saying that I'm a doer of miscellaneous because in a company, I like starting from like making coffee to like cleaning the board to I don't know, getting merchandise from the go down. I have done everything, so I actually find that
you
uh,
should, you
I
should.
I think
I don't I
we
don't
need
believe
to
in
do
that.
all of that.
So
Yeah,
like
no,
when
and it's as simple as this. If you want to grow and you want to kind of delegate things to people, I'm saying even as an artist, if you are somebody who says, I don't want to get into my brand building, I don't want to get into my PR, I want to just create music, that means you're delegating that part of your life and your work to somebody else. For you to do that, you need to understand what goes into doing it. You can't shut your eyes and say, oh, I'm all about my music, somebody else is going to figure out how to make me look good. It doesn't work that way.
yeah, but I mean, I think that's where like that's when people start hiring managers to do that
Yeah.
particular role. But even then, I think those are like that becomes then exactly what you said is a challenge for a manager. Like when you have two young independent acts, the harder part is how one is how do you grow that act, right? And the second part is going to be that it has to evolve with the ongoing business. So even
Correct?
if I'm talking about like because the way I look at it is it's hard, it's really hard for an independent musician in our industry to have a hit. It takes time. It's something
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Yeah.
grows, and I say that because like I said, I loved the boys that I managed. I would wake up every day and I would have like two, like, pages open, and it was about, okay, I got to hit 10 promoters here, 10 promoters here, got to figure out when this release plan is. And my life revolved around it to a point where what I realized is, okay, cool, I'm creating that niche and that narrative for them, okay? Because there are umpteen number of talents out here in India and all across the world, but a brand or a promoter or an organization, they need something that they can feed onto. If
Yeah.
for them,
Yeah.
if for them it's not just the music, it's going to be the aesthetic, the valuation. How is this going to add additional value to our brand? And it's always going. It has to be the wave of something. I felt like it started with the wave of, it was Gully Boy, then the wave of hip hop, and then the wave of women in hip hop. And then we have Raja, and now we have like tons of other, like, artists out there. And that sort of helps like international brands to like see, oh, okay, while maybe hip hop was something great like back in the day and it was more like a black movement, now what everyone in India is doing is hip hop has become a politicized genre. They try to use it that
Yeah.
way. So,
You've got
and a
something to
lot,
say, do it through hip hop. It's like
Mm.
that.
yeah, and that's become
Yeah.
the wave. It's a trend. It's a fad
Yeah.
right now. I mean, and I hope it like moves into something else because I'm looking forward to that bit because I think it'll
Yeah.
help a lot more. Like it's that stereotyping, like, oh, a guy with a guitar is only a singer songwriter. I'm like, dude,
Right, right. No, but
not
Shuchi, I
necessary,
want to
but
ask you.
yeah.
I want to ask you this. The like you said, you are actually pushing the folk talent to start working on original, which is kind of a contradiction because folk is something that's supposed to be, what you kind of pass on from legacy onwards. So it's interesting that you're looking at that. Tell me the Let's Folk property that you guys did. Uh, how did that actually turn out for you guys, and do you feel that has been able to get the folk talent into mainstream? Because I know that it was, there was a lot of collaboration with popular names. Did you have to have that to get the attention? Did the folk talent not, wouldn't have they been interesting enough just by themselves?
Okay, so firstly, the folk definition that you gave, I totally disagree with that. I
Okay.
mean, because nowhere the meaning of folk is like that. Like for me, folk is something like what is folk? I mean, if you listen to a folk song, it is just telling you about a scenario in a society, maybe about a wedding, or about some festival or things like that. That is what you call folk, but nowhere folk is defined, right? So I wouldn't say that. I mean, I would say that is a traditional music, what you just stated,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so basically, folk is writing these songs, making these songs which are actually talking about maybe the current scenario in the society. Maybe if an artist, if a folk artist, they write a song about maybe something on Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao thing, right? So that can also be termed as folk. It is not
Okay.
necessary that anything which is 100 years old or 200 years old is called folk. That's what we believe into, right? So that is the reason we always tell them to write new songs. We don't say that write new folk songs. It will become folk, you just write because
Right.
they are artists. I mean, why do we always see these artists from rural areas as folk artists? Why don't we see them as artists? Just
Right.
artists. So that's why
So
we
I
ask them to
I
write
have
that.
just been kind of slammed by Miss Sangeeta Agarwal, who says your understanding of folk needs better knowledge. So I think I'm getting quite a rundown from
Getting a
you.
danda for it. You're getting danda for it.
Danda, big danda. Hey, I'm just voicing a layman's perspective. I'm glad. The whole idea of doing this session was to be educated. So, but fair enough. I appreciate your explanation on that. But Let's Folk, the property of Let's Folk,
Yeah.
how has that really helped you? And again,
So
my question is more: did you need the big guys, the commercially big guys, to be there for these artists that you are actually supporting to be noticed?
if I'm not wrong, are you talking about Let's Spoke Together, the fundraiser event that we did?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. So that was something, I mean, we never expected that and we never pitched for that. It just something happened.
Okay,
It was Believe CSR initiative and they
right.
wanted to do something like that and they wanted Anahad to be the NGO partner so that,
Okay,
these artists who can come along, the biggies of the industries, they can come and they can vouch for the
okay.
folk artists. They can basically,
So it was actually the
talk to
other
the
way
public.
around. It
Yeah,
was the
yeah, yeah.
big it
I
was
mean,
the big
I
guys
can
who were,
never,
yeah.
yeah, I can never
But
imagine asking Shankar Madhavan ji, please can you come and do this? He would be like, excuse me, who the hell are you? So, I
You should tell
mean,
him
that
then.
was
You should tell
never
him
in the
to
plan.
go for it, Suchi.
Oh,
I
now
believe.
he knows. See, I didn't need to tell him, but now he knows. I think
Yeah,
so. I hope so. He knows Anand. So, and in the entire journey of Anand, we never thought of having these big Bollywood industry artists to be on board, or they should be there, or without them we can't do. We are 4 years old into doing the work in the field, and I am so proud of ourselves, that we never needed their help. I mean, if they would have been there, it would have been great, of course, having
sure,
people like them to actually talk about folk music. And actually, that was the best part about Let's Folk Together. People like artists like Shankarji and Amit Trivedi, they are talking about folk music. You don't get
right,
to hear that from them. Papan
right,
can talk about folk music. That feels
right.
justified to everyone. But when Shankar Mahadevan talks about folk music, then it's like, oh my God, wow, yes, there is something like folk music. Before
Right.
that, it feels like everyone's sleeping. They don't know about folk music. So basically,
that's nice,
No,
Let's
yeah.
Work Together was something, where we wanted basically the idea was that these wonderful, big artists, they should come up with folk songs in their own rendition. Maybe Shankar Mahadevan, he did sing few folk songs, in
right,
different languages. So that is
right,
what we wanted them to do. We didn't want them to sing some Bollywood track
right,
because
right.
that does not need to justify, let's folk together. It's folk. Yeah.
Right. So, Cynthia and Shuchi, I mean, I never expected this session to be so interactive. And this is the first time in the three sessions I've done where people have come in, they've asked questions. I have been given danda as well. So, it's been one of the most amazing sessions I've ever had. And I know I could go on, but we are already 1 hour, 17 minutes
I
down.
was gonna
So,
say that like we could go on with this because it's
Yeah.
there is so
no,
much to say, right? I feel like when it comes to the legal aspects of like music, you
yeah,
can't do it in 1 hour. You need to take one topic and then break
right,
it down for an hour because there is so much to understand and so much to learn. And I mean, I
right.
don't know. I think just general advice to artists who are listening out there: don't fret. Like there are tons of us out here who want to help you. We're here for you. Our our work sort of strives on the fact that you guys exist, so we understand the importance of
Yeah.
your work at the end of the day, and keep strengthening your strengths and just keep at it and just, reach out to people who understand your rights and will protect it and give you different like aspects of monetization and different consultants who can actually help you grow your business because that is also something that we offer. So, stay safe and be good. And I don't know why I just said be good, but okay, be good. I
But
felt like a
thank
mom by
you.
just saying be good. But
All
yeah.
right, before we sign off, I would like both of you one by one to just, give me in one brief sentence, what does make it myself mean to you? Shuchi.
Make it myself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so the platform, I mean, it's really
No, just
amazing
just
that,
the term.
yeah.
Just the term, make
Okay,
it
just the
myself.
term.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I think it is something that everyone should actually follow. People should make it the motive of their lives, and make it myself. Why to depend on someone else? Make it ourselves, right? So I believe that should be the motto of people's life, and people should follow that. Yeah.
Lovely.
I mean,
Cynthia.
yeah, I'm with that on the same page in the sense that when you just said, "Oh, what do you think of Make It Myself?" I was like, "Oh, that's me." Like, you know, that's exactly who I am. I think I resonate with the name. So, I mean, I'm such a narcissist while I say this, but yeah, Make It Myself is essentially when you're young and you are trying to figure your lifestyle and your career out there. I think when you say Make It Myself, I can only think of my journey in the last like 4 years, how like I am where I am, and I have this wonderful opportunity to share this platform with, the vice president of Hangama and the director of
Yeah.
Anahad. I would have not thought this in my wildest dreams that I'm going to be doing this. I would, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty camera shy person. I mean, I talk a lot, but like I'm really camera shy. So I'm humbled and beyond like stoked that like I was invited for this. So thank you, and Make It Myself has resonated with every inch of my body. This is amazing.
Same here.
Thank
Same here. I
you.
mean,
Thank you so much.
this is like
Yeah.
this was amazing. I mean, it's the first time I am, talking about folk music on such a platform. I have never spoken like that. So thank you so much.
So thank you so much. This video, of course, is going to stay on my YouTube channel. So I will share the link with you, and it'll be great if you can pass it on to more people. I think there was a lot of interesting information that you guys spoke about. I learned a lot myself. I've been in the industry for 25 years, but I think there's still so much to learn. I want to thank everybody who, stayed up and actually came on and asked questions. I hope we answered anything that was relevant to you guys. But thank you, and stay safe, and don't step out unless you really need to. But good night, and thanks a lot.
Good
Good
night.
night. Thank
Happy
you.
Friday.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy
Have
Friday.
a lovely weekend,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.